What is up, everyone? Movie Win back again with another end of month vlog. This is just me going over everything I watched in the month of February 2024. 29 days we had this year, a leap year. So that made me maybe watch one more movie. So we've got a little chunk here. It's the usual 20 titles, something like that, to talk about. Some of these are on Blu-ray, some of them are on streaming, and some of them were at the cinema. So let's just get into it now with the first thing that I watched, and that is a 4K movie I've never seen before, first time watch for me. Philadelphia, starring Tom Hanks and Denzel Washington. Now, I'd heard a lot of great things about this movie. Tom Hanks, I think, won the Oscar for this, or he was up for the best actor in this and Forrest Gump for the same year, I believe. And this is a really hard-hitting film. Tom Hanks is a man who's been infected with HIV, and he is unfairly fired from his job, even though he's just got a promotion. He knows something's not right, getting a promotion and then getting sacked. And he hires Denzel Washington, who is this upcoming lawyer, or this hotshot lawyer. He's doing really well, Denzel Washington takes his case. He's convinced by Tom Hanks to take it, put it that way. He's a bit hesitant at first. And it's a real good courtroom drama that, really tackles a subject that, especially at the time, I know HIV has moved on a lot, especially at this time now. I mean, it's nowhere near the death sentence that it was or anything like that. But at the time, it was a heavy-hitting subject, and it tackles that brilliantly, I think. I thought Denzel Washington and Tom Hanks were brilliant here. I know Tom Hanks gets spoken about in this role as one of his best, but I really thought Denzel was brilliant in this. He was the standout character for me. Just a really upsetting movie at times, but you really do champion these two to get a bit of justice. So I thought this movie was great. I'm glad to have finally seen it. So that is Philadelphia. Next up, I watched Argylle from director Matthew Vaughn, who obviously made The Kingsman and Layer Cake and stuff. And I thought this was a fun movie. I've heard a lot of bullshit about this film. People really didn't like it, and that is up to them. That is fine. I definitely see the flaws with this movie, but I did come out the film quite enjoying it. It's a bit of a long one. It doesn't need to be 2 hours and 20 minutes, I suppose. But this basically follows Bryce Dallas Howard's character, and she's this writer who writes about secret agents and stuff, but everything she's writing is actually coming true, or it's happening in the world, and then these secret agents try and take her down, and this character comes to Sam Rockwell's character is trying to protect her basically from these assassins. And the movie halfway through does sort of start to make sense a little bit, and I thought it was a really great idea, actually. There were some cool action scenes here. A lot of people are giving a lot of shit to this ice skating scene where this Bryce Dallas Howard's character sort of ice skates on this oil, but I thought it was one of the best moments, if not the best moment of the movie. I really enjoyed it. Thought it was awesome, and you know what? I just had a fun time with it. It was funny at times. Sam Rockwell is such a great actor. He was the best thing about the movie by far, and I thought him and Bryce Dallas Howard really worked well together on screen. I had a fun time with it. There was a lot of twists and turns along the way, maybe one too many. I do, like I said, I do notice the flaws, but people saying this is terrible and stuff, I don't quite get that. It's a good 7 out of 10 film for me. I quite enjoyed it, and I thought it was quite funny at times. So, yeah. I think it's flopped at the box office, but that's a shame, really, because I thought it was quite good. So, that is Argylle. Next up, we have Vigilante, and this stars Robert Forster, whose wife is raped and his son is killed by this horrible gang, and the gang member who actually commits the murder of his son is just a real asshole, a real horrible character in this movie. And they get a slap on the wrist, basically. I don't think they can prove it or something, but a lot of criminals in the city are kind of getting away with all sorts. And him and these other characters decide to take that into their own hands and try and take down these gangs. And he wants a little bit of revenge. It's a typical revenge film. Now, I'd heard a lot of great things about this film. And I've got to be honest, guys, I thought it was going to be a little bit better than it was. There were a lot of moments that tended to drag a little bit. And it was a little bit of a dated film, I suppose. I mean, it is an 80s movie, you know, not every 80s movie is going to survive the modern day, is it? But I still think it was quite a good film, you know, I quite enjoyed it. You did want him to get his revenge on these characters because they were assholes, these villains, man. But overall, it was fine. Nothing special. So that is Vigilante. Next up, I watched My Bloody Valentine from 1981. Now, if you want to guys go and see my review for this movie, it is over on the Horror Channel, so I'll leave it in the link down below. But I watched this around Valentine's Day, and you know what? I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was a real great slasher movie, and one of the most brutal slasher films that I've seen. There was so many great death scenes in this. Basically, this town that is obsessed with Valentine's Day for some reason wants to throw this party on Valentine's Day for the townsfolk, and everyone's getting excited and stuff. But 20 years before, there was a tragedy that happened where this guy was killed in a mining accident, and people are starting to die, and they believe the guy who, sorry, a lot of people were killed in the mining accident, but this one guy survived, called Harry Watson, something like that. And everyone thinks that he's coming back to seek revenge because the bodies are piling up, and he thinks it's very disrespectful to have a party on Valentine's Day, just forgetting about the victims and stuff. And this killer starts to go around killing these people of this town, and there's people being put in tumble dryers here with the skin melting off and stuff. There is one scene where a pickaxe goes through someone's chin and comes right round through the eyeball and pops the eyeball out. I did watch the uncut version. I know there's two versions of this, but my god, man, I just had a real fun time in it. Now the second half of the movie all goes down this mine, and it's not the most Valentine's themed place for a movie to take place, but it still was a good second half of the film. I will say the characters weren't great though. There was no one really to stand out and get behind here, and a lot of slasher films do suffer from that. Also, I seen the killer reveal coming a mile off. Like, I knew it weren't going to be the guy that they were saying was coming to the town. That's very early on. If you see many slasher films, you kind of know it's not going to be that person. It's going to be a whodunit, and I did guess who the killer was. But overall, I thought the killer had a great design and stuff like that, and there was some great kills in here. So, My Bloody Valentine was a pretty awesome slasher. Next up, we have Batman vs. Two-Face. I think this is the last Batman animated film I own that I needed to watch. And we've got Adam West in what I believe is his last performance as Batman, which, you know, it's sad. It is. But we've got Burt Ward? Yes. Burt Ward in there, who... you know what, I'm getting mixed up with Burt Ward and Burt Young here. I always get them mixed up. Burt Young is Rocky, of course. Yes, so Burt Young is off Rocky. So Burt Ward here and Adam West reprised their voice roles as the dynamic duo from the 60s television show, and it's all done in that 60s television style. I think they get the help of Catwoman here as well to take down Harvey Two-Face. And it's just, you know, it's got that fun vibe from the 60s, but doesn't play into it too much. It has a little bit of a serious tone with the comedy thrown in. I wouldn't say it's a full comedy film. Got some little fun one-lines of dialogue and stuff like that. It's a fine animated Batman film, like all of them are. None of these really reach higher than 7 out of 10, apart from Batman vs. the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is just incredible. But it is what it is. It's a fun Batman animated film that you can watch in about 70 minutes. So yeah, I quite enjoyed this. That is Batman vs. the Two-Face. Next up is another one that I reviewed on the Horror Channel because this was 35 years on its anniversary. Even though it's a horror comedy, this one, but I still wanted to review it. And that is The Burbs. Yeah, so this is one of Tom Hanks' earlier roles where he lives in this neighborhood, and these new family move in called the Klopeks next door to him, and they never come out the house, and the house is never, it's not really decorated. It's all kind of falling down. It's like stands out like a sore thumb in the street. And he is convinced that these people are murdering people, and he teams up with his neighbors to get to the bottom of these Klopeks. So they're so strange, and they start spying on them and stuff and seeing what they're getting up to. It's a really, really fun movie. It's one of them films that I've watched countless times, like over 50 times in my life, easily. And it's just one of the best things to come out of the 80s, 1989, I believe. Yeah, my uncle was babysitting me and my sister when we were young, and he said he threw this on. It was on TV, and I've been hooked since. I watch it all the time. It's one of my most watched films ever. It's got real fun characters in there. This time around when I watched it, I appreciated Joe Dante's little touches of great directing. Something I didn't really pay attention to at a much younger age, but like just when they go into the Klopeks house and it's got the Dutch angle, it kind of makes it look like a haunted house. Things like that. Great little third act in this. I love the Klopeks. I just think they're so funny, especially Ruben. You are the one who lived next door. Yeah, The Burbs, man. Just an excellent movie. I absolutely love it. So that is The Burbs. Next up, we watched Migration, which is a animated film that came out in 2023 in the US, and we got it this year in February or January. And this is basically about a bunch of ducks, and one of them never wants to leave this pond, and then all these other ducks that are migrating come and rest in the pond and say, come with us, we're going to Jamaica. And the father really doesn't want to leave because he's in his safe place, but the rest of the family want to go. And these birds carry on migrating, and they kind of miss their chance. And then the father has a sudden change of heart and says, okay, we'll follow them. And they just go on this big adventure to Jamaica and come across lots of troubles and stuff. It's a really fun animated film, you know. It's definitely more aimed to kids, of course, but I had a lot of fun with this. I thought the voice work and everything was great. Awkwafina is in this, and a lot of people don't like her, but I think she's a good voice actress, to be honest. Yeah, it was just a fun movie. You know, a typical, predictable animated film for kids. You kind of know where it's going. But yeah, I thought it was good. It was a good movie, so that is Migration. Next up, I watched Sleepy Hollow, a first time watch for me, never seen this film, Tim Burton movie, and it's got Johnny Depp in there, who is instructed to go to this town of Sleepy Hollow because all these people are getting found with their heads cut off by this headless horseman, and he's trying to track down who this headless horseman is, why he's doing it, and it just goes from there, really. Now, I thought the visual look of this film was great. Really gets that old, late 18th century, is it? Vibe down to a T. Johnny Depp is really funny. Like, he's not really funny, but he throws little funny moments in here. And Christina Ricci, always good to see her in a movie. You know, I grew up watching her as an actress all my life, really. So yeah, it was a good film. I just wish it had a little bit more to it. I don't know what it was. I just didn't love this film. It was just I thought it was average, to be honest. Yeah, the ending was a little bit silly, I suppose, the reveal and stuff like that. But it was fine. I got through it. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It was just a good 6 out of 10 movie, I suppose. Yeah, that is Sleepy Hollow. Glad to have finally seen it. Next up, we have my new release of the month. I did forget to mention that The Burbs was my older release of the month, but we have my new release of the month. Even though this is a 2023 movie, we got it late again here. Man, I'm sick of it. I really am, especially with these A24 bitches. That is The Iron Claw. Now, this follows the Von Erich family, who are a family of wrestlers, and their father's thirst to get the title that he was robbed of. And he uses his sons to try and get that title back because he is retired now and stuff. And this is a real tragic story. Like, there's so many... You can't believe what happens at the Von Erichs. I'm not going to get into it too much, but this is a family that is basically cursed. Now, Zac Efron really got into the role here. He really bulked up for this movie. Kind of too big, but man, he dedicated his whole body and performance to this role. His whole body and his mind to this role. I thought he was great in this. But yeah, this movie... You know, I couldn't believe it was a true story, but it's some hard-hitting moments here. The characters you really care about. The guy off the bear, I'm really sorry I forgot his name, but it's Gene Wilder's grandson. And he looks like Gene Wilder, I've got to say. He was really great in this movie as well. The father, who is in a lot of David Fincher movies, he's the guy who says his name was Robert Paulson. He was an asshole in this film, but really, really strong performance from him. Even though he's an arsehole, you sort of see why he's a little bit thirsty and pushes his sons a little bit. I mean, he's wrong to do it, but he just wants the best for them, really. Even though he's sort of got selfish indulgence in there as well. He's kind of he's a complicated character, put it that way. But man, you get so invested in the story, you can't, you really care about the characters, and it's a real sad film, man. But it's a real good one as well. Yeah, The Iron Claw, one of the best A24 films I think I've seen. So that is The Iron Claw. Next up, I watched No Way Up, another movie I reviewed over on the Horror Channel, and this is about a plane that crashes in the Pacific Ocean. Is it Pacific? I think it is. And there's an air pocket on the plane with about 7 characters surviving, and they're trying to think of a way to get back to the surface, but these sharks circle a plane. So even if they do escape, these great white sharks are going to tear them into bits. Now, that is a great premise for a movie. Unfortunately, it was just really boring. I should have learned my lesson from The Black Demon from last year, because that looked great and it was boring as well. And the characters are just terrible. There's some bad acting on show here. The sharks didn't look great, and when they attack and kill people, it's just a lot of messy camera edits and stuff, and it doesn't make the kills very fun at all. And these characters are just standing around going, how are we going to get out? Let's try this, let's try this. There's not really too many danger curveballs thrown at them, which has got to be the case with the movies. I think when you do a film like this, you've got to throw more danger at them to make it seem even more impossible to get out. So it's more impressive when they do. But it was just you're just standing around waiting for things to happen, like the characters in the movies are. So I was really disappointed with this one after thinking it looked quite good from the trailer. Cole Meany, his character is worthless in this film. He's the best actor in it, but he's just a nothing character. There's no point to him. Yeah, probably my least favourite film of the year. So that is No Way Up. Talking of terrible movies, oh my god. Now, I am not a Marvel hater at all. I like virtually every Marvel film bar 2, which is Iron Man 2. And surprisingly, Doctor Strange, I've watched that movie twice now and I just don't like it. It's just not for me. But now there are 3 Marvel movies I do not like, and that is The Marvels. Oh my god, I absolutely hated this movie. I hated it that much that it's actually my least favourite movie of 2023. And I've seen over 90 films, I think. I put it below Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. That's how bad it was. I just did not like it. I hated this movie. I just couldn't wait for it to end. That moment where they go to that palace and the kind of singing while they're talking. Oh my god. I was like, why have we come from Iron Man and Avengers and the Winter Soldier to this bullshit? Oh, I am not a Marvel hater, like I said, but this was just so bad. Miss Marvel was a good character. I liked the show Miss Marvel. She was great in this. I forgot her actress's name. I'm really sorry. She was the best thing about the film, but there was so many bad pieces of dialogue as well. Like Miss Marvel would go, Captain Marvel went like that to Samuel L. Jackson at one point, and he went, "Scissors beats paper. Now tell me what you want." And I'm just like, are they really saying this? The movie was just all over the place. It didn't really make sense to me, and I haven't seen Secret Invasion, but it was just all over the place. The best thing about it was how good it looked on 4K in enhanced IMAX on Disney Plus. It's probably the best looking movie I've seen on my OLED so far, and it was a streaming film, so God knows how good it looks on 4K, which I probably will pick up at one point because I'm a completionist with the Marvel films. But my God, I just did not like this film at all. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. And it wasn't even funny. Like, when it was trying to be funny, at least Marvel can make me laugh sometimes. I just felt nothing from this film. I really didn't like it at all. That is The Marvels. Next up, we have See No Evil. Now, Mia Farrow plays this blind woman who has to go and stay with her aunt and uncle, I believe, and her cousin. And she's kind of like, she can't see, basically, put it that way. And one night, an intruder comes in and kills the family. And Mia Farrow thinks they're going out for the night, so she's sort of in the house on her own when she comes back, but all these dead bodies around her, but she doesn't know they're there. And this killer is sort of going around, and she might be next. And she's got to try and. It's a bit of a murder mystery movie. It's a whodunit film, basically. Um, but I thought Mia Farrow was excellent in this. She really looked like she was actually blind in this film. It was that good of a performance. She's great in Rosemary's Baby as well. The film was okay. There was a lot of filler in there. You know, there's like Mia Farrow and her boyfriend go on a horse journey at one point, and they're just riding around on these horses for a couple of minutes. I'm like, what's this got to do with the film? You know, it was it was only a 90-minute film, but the pace takes its time. You know, it just shows a lot of things in there that don't need to be in there. But the best thing about this was Mia Farrow's performance. I really liked how the killer as well. They're just filming these big cowboy boots he's got on. You don't see the upper part of his body. They just film his boots all the time. And when he finally knocks at the house, the woman answers and the camera pans down to his boots as the door opens. But yeah, it's not bad. I thought it was going to be a lot better, but it was okay. That is See No Evil. Next up, we have Night at the Museum 3, Secret of the Tomb. Me and my wife watched the other two about a year ago, and I had this one to go. I've got to say, this is probably my least favourite one out of the entire trilogy. I just forgot how much I latched onto these characters in the first two. I mean, I just didn't really care about anyone in this film from the off. It was very silly from the off. And I think it was the mood I was in. I was just like, I'm not in the mood to watch this stupid film, to be honest. I mean, there's some fun moments in it. You know, they go to a different museum in the third act, which is interesting. There's a father-son dynamic with Ben Stiller and his son, and you kind of know where that's going to go. It's the usual, you do things my way, and by the end, you're like, okay, you do what you want, son. How many times have you seen them character arcs going on? It was okay. The CGI was really pissing me off, though. I mean, it's one of them bad CGI looking movies from the mid 2000s. Well, I think it was like 2014, but whatever. It was okay. This character was the best. Lancelot, is it? Yeah, he was by far the best character in it, but nothing great, nothing too memorable, to be honest. So that is Night at the Museum 3, Secret of the Tomb. Next up, I watched The Mangler. Now, I'm trying to get through all Toby Hooper's movies to do a full ranking over on my horror channel. But I did watch the Robert Englund documentary last year, and they showed a little bit of The Mangler in there, and I did own this on Blu-ray, just never seen it. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to watch The Mangler. I picked up this on Life Force and went with The Mangler instead. But this is a horror movie about a big, like a machine that takes in laundry and sort of presses laundry out. But this is the most dangerous looking machine you've ever seen in your life. If this was today, health and safety would shut the damn thing down within 2 minutes. But this machine has tasted a little bit of blood, and it's starting to kill people that look like accidents. And it's up to this sheriff, played by Ted Levine, who you'll know of Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs, to find out what's really going on with this machine and why it's sort of killing people and making people chop their fingers off and stuff. I gotta say, man, there's a kill at the start of this movie that is one of the best movie deaths I've ever seen. I was like, holy shit, this is painful. And this woman just gets sucked into this machine. Robert Englund owns this Blue Ribbon Printworks factory where this Blue Ribbon Laundry, where this machine is, and he's just a real horrible boss to work for. Like, he's like that to his foreman. Work him like they've never been worked before. You know, he just wants money all the time and stuff, and he's got these like crutches and stuff. He's walking around with these metallic legs. The makeup designer Robert Englund was so out there. It really stood out like a mile. But I had a fun time with this. I think Ted Levine was a little bit miscast. He suits being a villain to me. And the third act, the CGI and the special effects, should I say, looked very, very dated. But overall, I had a fun time with this movie. Because it was pretty good, yeah. So that is The Mangler. And Toby Hooper, I don't have the best relationship with him. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre is my favourite horror movie of all time. But a lot of the other films he's made, they don't really do nothing for me. Eaten Alive, The Funhouse, I thought was terrible. Poltergeist as well, I'm not really a massive fan of that. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, but this is his second best film from what I've seen up to now. So that is The Mangler. Next up, I rewatched Dune because Dune 2 was coming out, which I have seen today on the recording of this video, and I'll give you a little bit of a spoiler before I talk about it next month. It's awesome. But yeah, I rewatched Dune. Now, I did review this on the channel. I think I gave it 7.5 out of 10. But I was a little bit lost with this film. Like, I was a bit like, okay, I liked it, but I didn't quite get the whole thing. However, on this rewatch, wow, it really, really grew on me. And I think Denis Villeneuve has really created something great here. The lore that he gets across within 2.5 hours of this world is fantastic. The characters are all amazing, like really well done. There's not one unlikable character in this film. And it's the start of like the start of this trilogy that's going to come out eventually, maybe even more movies, because I believe this and the second film are only book one. It's a visually stunning film. You know, he's really made a cinematic experience here look great on 4K, but I just enjoyed it a hell of a lot more this time around. It's like Game of Thrones in space, really, and you really do get behind Timothée Chalamet's character. Like, there's something mysterious about him, but you believe, like the characters in the movie, that he is destined for something more. I thought Jason Momoa and Josh Brolin's characters were awesome in this. He's like real tough fighters. Yeah, it's a great film. There's sandworms as well. There's a moment where the sandworm is about to come up and take this harvesting machine that harvests the spice, and this machine that's going to come and take it out to safety doesn't work. So Oscar Isaac and these characters go down to try and, you know, save all the people on the board, and it's a great moment in the film. Yeah, ends on a real good note as well. I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it. On a rewatch, and I love when you rewatch movies and they become so much better. It's kind of like watching it for the first time again. So if you are a bit like me, the first time you watched Dune, you didn't quite get it, definitely give it a rewatch, because it'll get you hyped for part 2, because this is so much better a second time round. So that is Dune. Next up, I watched Anyone But You, starring Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney. I'd heard a lot of buzz about this film, mainly because of how well it done at the box office. So I decided to give it a go, and this was just your typical rom-com that you could predict after the first 5 minutes. Like, I genuinely knew where the movie was going to go. I knew that they were going to have ups and downs and eventually try and get together at the end, like every rom-com before it. Yeah, I mean, this was funny. You know, I had a lot of fun with this film. There was some laugh out loud moments. There was some ridiculous story beats as well, though. Like, I was just like, if you just say this one thing, this could solve this whole argument that you two are having through this film, but they never actually say it. And the movie was irritating me a little bit, that things were just getting in the way all the time, but it just seems so avoidable. But, you know, I did like Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney in this. I did want them to sort of get together. I thought they had a good chemistry. It was just basically Glenn Powell and her can't stand each other after this first date they had, even though they seemed perfect at first. But they, by chance, end up meeting up together again and realise that they're going to the same wedding over in Australia. So they kind of keep getting in each other's way and stuff. And they pretend to be a couple to please the family, basically, but they're not a couple. It was fine. Yeah, I had fun with it. It's an easy watch. Like, it flew by. It was just one of the easiest films I've ever seen in my life to watch. So that is Anyone But You. Okay, guys, so I watched the Friday the 13th franchise years ago, and mainly on VHS and stuff and early DVD. I just haven't watched this franchise in years, and it's really bothering me that I can't remember a lot of the films, and I've decided to start the Friday the 13th franchise. Now, I did watch the first one about 2 months ago when it was Friday the 13th, 3 months ago, and I've seen that movie 100 times. It's, even though I'm not big on the franchise or knowledgeable on it, I watched the first one so many times. One of the very first horror movies I ever watched. It's deep, it's held a place in my heart of why I love horror and stuff, but I've just never really got round to the sequels all that much. So I went in on Friday the 13th, part 2. Now, I had a lot of fun with this film. This is, again, one of the easiest watches I've ever watched. I mean, these, as bad as these films are, they're so bad, they're good that you can just sit back, relax, and not think about it too much. And this one sees Jason just killing a few people at this camp. Instead of his mother, who was in the first film. He's got a baghead in this with the one peephole. And there was some I, you can tell it's been cut too heavily to get an age rating and not be banned. Because a lot of the kills were very, very tame. Apart from that wheelchair kill where the guy went down the stairs after he'd been hit across the face, that was great. But it was just, it's a rehash of the first film. It felt like the same movie that I'd watched 100 times before, but with Jason instead of Mrs. Voorhees. It even has a jump scare at the end, like that film, and then it's a dream, like that film. I've got to be honest though, guys, there was 2 jump scares in this movie and it really got me. One, where you thought she was going to lift this cover off and it was 2 bodies in the bed and it was actually Jason alive. And the other one where Jason comes through the window at the end. Oh my God, man, that was fucking fantastic. I was just thinking, imagine watching that in the cinema in 1981, was it? And just seeing that with the loud music coming and stuff, that would have been fantastic. So yeah, I had a good time with this. It's got a lot of problems, but it's just an easy watch and it's a fun movie. So that is Friday the 13th, part 2. Next up, we have Friday the 13th, part 3. Now, this was one that I actually did watch a lot. I own this one on VHS and I did actually watch this quite a few times as a kid. So this was one of the ones that I quite knew more of compared to the other sequels, although it had still been a long time since I watched this, so I was quite excited to go back and watch this again. I love the opening sequence where Jason breaks into the house of the couple, that weird couple, and Harold is eating all the fish eggs, and then he drinks the drink, and then he just goes to the toilet, and he's got like whiskey at the side of the toilet. Like everywhere he goes, he's got food and drink. Jason gets his hockey mask finally in this movie, and the 3D aspects are really funny in this film because thing like a yo-yo was coming towards the camera and stuff, and you can tell that was just made for the 3D effect in the cinemas. But I think Richard Brooker does a good job of portraying Jason in this film. He's got the walk, each time he kills someone, he calmly walks away. He just got that serial killer vibe going for him. I think Chrissy, I think her name was one of probably the best character we've had in the first 3 movies. She's got a little bit of a story arc going on because she's had an encounter with Jason that's fucked her whole life up, and she's coming to this camp to overcome it. So I like the way there's a little bit of backstory there. There's a character in this who's playing tricks on everyone, and I forgot his name, but he was a real goofy character. And there's this one line in this where she goes, "Aren't you going to the lake?" And he goes, "No, they're all going skinny dipping and I'm not skinny enough." But there's some good kills in this one, way better kills than Friday the 13th part 2. There was one where where Jason just fires this crossbow and it whacks this woman in the eye. I like the biker gang in this. I think they're really goofy but fun. So yeah, I had a good time with Friday the 13th part 3. A little bit better than the second one for me personally. So that is Friday the 13th part 3. Last up, guys, we do have Lisa Frankenstein, another one I have reviewed over on the Horror Channel, so I'll leave it in a link down below. Yeah, Kathryn Newton is a little bit of a weird character in this, and she's in love with this corpse for some reason that is buried at the cemetery, and a dramatic turn of events, or a sequence of events, should I say, end up bringing this corpse to life, and he goes and lives with her in their bedroom. Now, this is a really fun film. There's lots of funny characters in this, lots of great comedy, but it does throw you off as well because there's some violent death scenes in this film, and you're like, holy shit, didn't see that coming. So the comedy makes the horror throw you off, basically. I really liked Kathryn Newton in this. I like it in a lot of movies I see it in. I thought the chemistry she had with Cole Sprouse, I believe his name is, who you'll know as the kid from Big Daddy, and Ben from Friends, Ross's son. They were great together. I mean, he couldn't speak in the movie, so he has to show his emotions in his face and his body movements, and I think he done really well, to be honest. He was the surprise standout character here. and it had a great visual look. Zelda Williams, who's the daughter of Robin Williams, this is her first film, and she really good to put a good marker down here as to what she can do. So I'm excited to see what she can do next. So yeah, I thought this film was fine. It was a good 7 out of 10 film. So that is Lisa Frankenstein. Okay guys, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Have you seen any of these titles? Please let me know down below what you thought of them. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know. Please give this video a like and subscribe to this channel. It would really help me out. Thanks so much guys. You take care and I'll see you on the next video.